Wisdom session. What distortion really is in relationship. There is a concept that sits at the center of many misaligned relationships, and yet it is rarely named with clarity. That concept is distortion. Distortion is not deception in the way most people think, because it's not about lying to yourself, and it's not about being unaware. Distortion is far more subtle. Distortion is when your perception of a relationship is pulled away from reality in a way that keeps you emotionally engaged, even when something is not working. It is the space between what is happening and what it feels like is happening. And that gap is where entanglement lives. Let's understand distortion in its simplest form. At its core, distortion is the difference between reality and interpretation. Reality is what is consistently happening. Distortion is the story, meaning, or focus that makes that reality feel different than it is. Reality is a pattern. Distortion is explanation. Reality is repetition. Distortion is exception. Reality is what's being demonstrated over time. Distortion is what is being hoped for, explained, or reinterpreted. And most people do not get stuck because they cannot see reality. They get stuck because distortion softens it. Let's talk about why distortion exists. Distortion is not a flaw. It is a function of the mind and nervous system attempting to do three things at once. Number one, to preserve connection. Number two, to reduce emotional discomfort. And number three, to maintain hope. These are not weak impulses. They are deeply human. The mind wants to make sense of complexity. The nervous system wants to avoid rupture. And the heart wants to believe in what it has felt. So instead of rejecting what is misaligned, distortion reorganizes the experience in a way that allows you to stay. Not because you are naive, but because part of you is trying to protect the bond. It's important to know how distortion shows up in real time. Distortion is not abstract. It shows up in very specific, recognizable ways. It looks like placing more weight on potential than on pattern. You find yourself saying, I have seen what they are capable of. I know who they can be. If we could just move through this phase, while overlooking what is happening consistently. It looks like explaining away misalignment. They are just stressed or unaware. They don't realize how it affects me. They will step up when it really matters. Instead of anchoring into what is actually being demonstrated over time. It looks like confusing emotional intensity with alignment. The connection feels strong. The conversations feel deep. The chemistry feels undeniable. And that intensity becomes evidence that the relationship is right, even when your needs are not being met consistently. It looks like minimizing your own experience. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe others would be fine with this. Instead of trusting what your body is telling you repeatedly, it looks like living in the future rather than the present. You become attached to where this could go, what you could build, and who you could become together. While the present reality remains unstable, inconsistent, or misaligned. These are not separate issues. They are all expressions of the same mechanism, distortion. Here's the key insight that changes everything. Distortion does not happen because you cannot see the truth. It happens because your capacity to see the best in someone outpaces their capacity to live it. You are not imagining their potential. You are perceiving it accurately. The connection, it may be real. The moments may be real. The glimpses may be real. And that is exactly what makes distortion so powerful, because parts of it are true. The connection is real. The potential is real. The feelings are real. But what is not real is the sustainability. Distortion takes what is partially true and builds a narrative that allows you to stay connected to it as if it were consistently true. The truth and difference between clarity and distortion is important. Clarity is simple, even when it is difficult. Clarity says, this is what is happening repeatedly. This is how it affects me. This is what I can and cannot live with. Distortion responds with, yes, but. Yes, but they are trying. Yes, but we have something special. Yes, but they know who they can be. Yes, but this is just a phase. Clarity is grounded in pattern. Distortion is sustained by exceptions. Clarity leads to decisions, and distortion delays them. Here's the simplest definition to carry forward. If you take nothing else from this, please anchor this. Distortion is anything that keeps you emotionally invested in something that is not consistently meeting you. That is the line. Not intensity, not moments, not intention. Consistency. It's important to know why this matters for you, the awakened, aware one, because you don't struggle to see truth. You struggle with how much weight you give to possibility compared to what has been proven. You can see both, but when possibility carries equal or greater weight than pattern, distortion takes hold. And once distortion is active, clarity feels less urgent. Decisions feel less necessary, and time continues to move. Here's the final grounding in truth. Distortion does not mean the relationship was fake. It does not mean your feelings were wrong, and it does not mean you were fooled. It means you remain connected to a version of the relationship that was not fully real in practice. And recognizing that is not a loss. It is the beginning of clarity. Because once you can see distortion, you can no longer unknow what is real. And from that place, everything begins to change. Let's close this out. Once you can see distortion, you are no longer at the mercy of it. You begin to recognize where your energy is being invested, when your clarity has been softened, and where your truth has been waiting for you to act on it. And that is where your power returns. Because clarity does not come from someone else finally understanding you. It comes from you honoring what you already know. If this brought something into focus for you, I invite you to continue this work with me. Explore the next wisdom session where we go deeper into how distortion forms, how it keeps you emotionally engaged, and how to stay anchored in your clarity, even when the pull to stay is strong. And if you are ready for a deeper level of support, where we look directly at your patterns, your relationships, and the places where distortion may still be influencing your decisions, you can explore working with me one-on-one through my advisory. The details are below. If any part of this series brought clarity or inspiration, please like it and share it with someone who needs this message. Your engagement amplifies the light and helps this work reach the people who are ready for it. Subscribe to my channel to stay connected and follow the 3-part series on the empath-narcissist entanglement. Let's heal our hearts, embody our sovereignty, and rise to the next level of humanity together.